The moment she entered, she was dismissed. Her appearance was striking. A wrinkled oatmeal-colored dress, scuffed leather shoes, and hair loose down her back. An actress turned, speaking loudly enough for everyone to hear. Seriously? Appearing at the prestigious casting looking like that? She proceeded into the casting room, and the director's voice erupted. "Oh my God! Are you mocking me? This is an insult. Get her out. Out." Despite the commotion, only one sentence was needed. The statement hung in the air, leaving the entire room utterly still. This was the final casting for Noble, a celebrated fragrance brand staging its initial return in 10 years, with a worldwide campaign filmed by Ethan Cole, the famously demanding director known for several Academy Award-winning art films. The central concept? Nobility. Not in a traditional aristocratic meaning, but something more profound. Something timeless. Auditions were taking place in Manhattan, at the top of the modern glass building belonging to Noble Corporation. Only 30 actresses were invited, carefully selected from thousands nationwide. These women represented the elite Golden Globe recipients, established talents, and popular figures in the media. Ellie Harper, however, seemed out of place, or so it appeared. She was an unknown, lacking a stylist or support team, and arrived wearing a simple dress, accompanied by a manager relying on a feeling and harboring a secret that would dramatically alter the situation. The casting took place on the top floor of the Noble Corporation's modern Manhattan skyscraper. Ellie Harper followed her manager, Claire Dawson, into the room and was almost overwhelmed by the brightness. The space was filled with well-known actors, with only a few unfamiliar faces present. The event's theme was nobility, so attendees were dressed in elaborate attire, including designer gowns, sparkling jewels, and impeccably styled hair. The majority of the attendees were familiar with one another, engaging in brief greetings and professional introductions. Those less acquainted sought opportunities to compliment prominent figures, and the room resonated with animated conversation. When Ellie entered the doorway, an abrupt stillness fell over the space. It wasn't due to recognition, no one knew her name, but rather because, in contrast to the well-known attendees adorned with diamonds, she seemed strikingly out of place. Some might have described her appearance as unconventional. Her dress was a simple, somewhat faded oatmeal-colored shift, and her brown leather shoes showed signs of wear and scuffing. She wore no jewelry, no makeup, and her chestnut hair flowed in loose, unbound waves down her back. The room was crowded with Hollywood's elite, and after a moment of surprised looks, they made no effort to conceal their disapproval. They didn't even quiet their voices as they openly criticized her directly. The question arose, who was this? Some whispered she appeared to have just emerged from a dumpster. Others wondered if she was lost. An actress made a dismissive expression. Another exclaimed, "Absolutely not. She's represented by Claire Dawson, the former manager of Vanessa Lane." Everyone recognized Claire, the highly successful manager who had propelled Vanessa Lane to fame before Vanessa's sudden retirement. Seeing Claire with Ellie caused astonishment. Wait, that's Claire's latest client? The one she's promoting so heavily? Producer derided. Even without Vanessa, Claire's professional history shouldn't involve working at this level. Is Dawson's agency in such a difficult situation? It's hard to believe they can't afford a stylist, someone remarked. No, they're not without funds, they simply don't prioritize her, another responded. Disparaging comments arose. Vanessa damaged her career due to a relationship, and Claire was oblivious until Vanessa made the announcement. She was her manager, and didn't realize the situation until then. Yeah, Claire's career has declined, a voice added. The prominent talent at Dawson's agency is Monica Reed, not Claire. Just then, a rising star from Starlight Entertainment, Brooke Kendall, approached Claire with a saccharine smile that couldn't quite conceal her derision. "Claire, you're bringing a new talent to the casting?" she inquired, her gaze dismissively assessing Ellie's attire. Claire responded calmly, "I signed her up impulsively. She successfully completed the preliminary rounds, so I thought it would be beneficial experience." Her voice was modest but resolute, a veiled display of Ellie's achievement in reaching this stage among the nation's leading actresses. Brooke's expression became condescending as she observed Ellie, shaking her head. Claire, no offense, but even a waitress wouldn't present themselves this way. Do you feel Vanessa's departure severely? If you are finding things difficult, abandon Dawson's agency and join my team. My assistant's compensation isn't substantial, but it's preferable to supporting someone of Ellie's profile. Starlight and Dawson's agency had been competitors for years, and Brooke harbored a personal resentment. Vanessa had overshadowed her at award shows on numerous occasions. She wasn't going to let a chance to challenge Claire pass her. The people nearby smiled, enjoying the unfolding situation. Another voice interjected, "Hey, I'm looking for assistance as well. Claire, would you be interested?" Brooke laughed, pleased. Look at that, Claire is in high demand. No need to worry about going without. Ellie's gaze sharpened with a frigid look as Brooke embarrassed Claire. But Claire had cautioned her, regardless of what occurs, remain silent. Ellie located a peaceful spot, settled down, and shut her eyes, blocking out the surrounding sounds. Her purpose wasn't to argue. She was present to concentrate and discover the necessary emotion for the part. The audition commenced shortly thereafter. Ellie received a respectable number, 15 out of 30. Brooke, number 14, observed Ellie's number and released a theatrical sigh. Such a promising slot squandered on her. The initial actress, Mia Carson, entered. She was a force, a self-made star who had worked tirelessly to achieve a Golden Globe, lacking formal training or a privileged background. A palpable stillness fell over the room as she arrived. Her skill was unmistakable. Brooke, however, expressed skepticism. Honestly, she muttered, she's just a high school dropout from nowhere. How can she possibly succeed in Noble? Brooke herself wasn't from a family of actors, but her family possessed considerable wealth. Her father held a Senate position, her mother operated a high-end crocodile leather fashion brand, and she had been raised with refined manners. She received piano and calligraphy lessons, among other things. Today, she wore a dress valued higher than Noble's entire advertising budget, and her self-assurance was evident. Few could compare to her upbringing, despite some achieving similar levels of recognition. Mia appeared less than a minute later, her complexion pale. Her manager hurried to assist her, but Mia declined, appearing defeated. Her manager's shoulders slumped, though she stayed to comfort her. Brooke crossed her arms, smug. Knew it. What's a small-town girl gonna do with Noble? Other actresses with trust fund backgrounds echoed her, sneering as Mia, unable to bear the mocking stares, left the room. Even a Golden Globe couldn't shield her from the sting of their elitism. In her corner, Ellie cracked her eyes open, watching Mia's retreating figure with a flicker of regret. Mia's acting talent and existing fanbase suggested this advertisement would be a sure success. It was disappointing. The second actress, a coal heiress whose father had funded her career, performed even worse. The third, a Naipo baby with actor parents, lasted only 3 minutes. She was adequate but ultimately unsuitable. As actress after actress was considered, even the most established names failed to meet expectations. Tension filled the audition room, particularly as the director, Ethan Cole, could be heard criticizing them from behind the closed door. Ethan's American accent possessed a sharp quality, developed through years of working internationally. He wondered if his words were being understood, and he doubted their intelligence. He desired grace and refinement, not lifeless figures performing mechanically. He criticized Mia, stating that while her performance was convincing, her eyes revealed a lack of depth. She seemed ordinary, just another actress, a mere prop. He dismissed a third, acknowledging her talent but finding her far from ideal. She didn't match the image he held. And one prior to Brooke, that was the 13th person. She believes I am foolish. She possesses no understanding of the harp. The actresses outside, previously full of self-importance, lost color. Is this man genuine? He has criticized everyone, one whispered. He holds a resentment towards Americans. Another complained. It is simply an advertisement. Why is he behaving as though we must be specialists? Does he anticipate that we should become proficient in everything? Brooke laughed derisively, flipping her hair. Only individuals lacking talent create justifications and fault the director. As number 14, she entered the casting room. When Brooke opened the door, Ethan's scowl lessened. She wore a vintage-inspired gown, adorned with pearls and emeralds, and her blonde hair was styled in an elegant updo with a jade hairpin. She wasn't simply noble, she was a vision of American glamour with a hint of timeless sophistication. Ethan's eyes brightened, and his tone grew warmer. "Come on, my dear. Step closer. Let me see you." Brooke stood confidently, allowing him to assess her. Growing up in privileged environments, her every movement, her smile, her bearing, displayed innate elegance. There was no need for pretense. Ethan walked around her, acknowledging with nods. "Very well, Brooke. Let's see what you can do." The casting room was filled with a variety of props: a grand piano, a calligraphy set, a chessboard, an embroidery stand, and a silk fan. Brooke's eyes focused on a harp. "This one," she stated, lightly touching the strings. The harp presented a greater challenge than a piano, demanding complex technique. 7 pedals, 47 strings, a range of 6.5 octaves. Ethan, a culture buff who had studied American and European arts for decades, wasn't someone easily deceived by a superficial performance. One actress had previously attempted a deceptive performance and received criticism. Ethan raised a brow as Brooke selected the harp, displaying skepticism. However, as she commenced playing, his expression changed. Her fingers moved gracefully over the strings, producing a melody that was both subtle and powerful. Following her performance, Ethan hesitated to reject her immediately. This was unprecedented. He spent a considerable time discussing the matter with his assistant. Eventually, the assistant approached Brooke with courtesy. "Ms. Kendall, we are still in the audition process, but could you please wait outside? We will inform you of our decision." The unspoken message was evident. They were impressed, but further evaluation was needed. Brooke responded with a pleasant smile. "Certainly." Internally, she allowed a confident smirk. Who could possibly surpass her? The role was undoubtedly hers. As Brooke exited, a palpable excitement filled the room. She had been in there for almost 10 minutes, and instead of Ethan's typical shouting, they had heard the harp's delicate music. Brooke didn't retreat like the others. She sat down, composed, prepared to be summoned. It was clear. She had made the shortlist, possibly even secured the position. The other actresses' certainty lessened. The established performers didn't want to chance embarrassment. But the prestigious contract was too appealing to relinquish. "Number 15, you're up," the assistant announced. Ellie, still absorbed in her thoughts, remained still. Claire, seated next to her, didn't intervene. She understood Ellie needed this time. Brooke, noticing Ellie in her view, felt compelled to speak. "Claire, I'm not intending to be unkind, but why select her? Starlight dismissed her for a reason. Are you genuinely allowing her to audition in that state? If she performs poorly, it reflects not just on you, but on your entire agency." Brooke's words directed all attention to Ellie. The room shifted, with some actresses quietly laughing. Targeted as the recipient of their criticism, perhaps they wouldn't appear so unfavorable compared to Brooke. Several, however, remained silent, questioning whether Ellie's disheveled look was a calculated choice, a hidden tactic. Perhaps she would change before entering. "Claire, I'm ready," Ellie said quietly, opening her eyes. Claire nodded. "You can do it. Number 15, let's go," the assistant repeated. Amidst a wave of doubtful gazes, Ellie rose, adjusted her dress, and proceeded calmly to the casting room. The moment she vanished inside, the room erupted in whispers. "Is she really going in like that?" One actress murmured. "I had anticipated a hidden strategy, but it seemed she was auditioning as if she were down on her luck. Ethan is going to be furious. She's in serious trouble. Perhaps it's better not to know." Then, Ethan's voice boomed through the doorway. "Are you insulting me, insulting Noble? Get out." Brooke took a drink of juice given to her by her assistant, a smile playing on her lips. "That went better than I thought." Why proceed when failure is inevitable, clinging to the hope of an unexpected outcome? She retrieved her phone and initiated a call. "Hey, Savannah. Brooke, are you finished? How did it proceed?" Savannah's voice was even and comforting. Exceptional as expected, Brooke, she responded with a hint of confidence. The initial 13 actresses presented challenges, but the remainder? They were no match. You are guaranteed success. Of course you would succeed, Savannah laughed. Thank you for making way, dear. This opportunity would have rightfully been yours. Please don't exaggerate. I've assisted you before, such as securing a partnership between your father's company and my mother's brand last month. Minor things. You won't believe who I just saw. Who? Your foster sister, Ellie Harper, the country bumpkin. What? How did she get into a Noble casting? I have no idea what fortunate circumstances she encountered to succeed in the prelims, but it was amusing to watch. The theme is nobility, and she appeared as if she lives under a bridge. She's lost it, Savannah laughed. Absolutely. Avoiding interaction with her is wise. She is creating a difficult situation for herself. Regardless, I must leave. I'll speak with you when I have cause for celebration. Within the casting room, Ethan's anger encountered Ellie's composure. She remained present, undisturbed, her clear, hazel eyes meeting his. A quality in her gaze, sincere and resolute, caused him to hesitate, as if he were the one who didn't belong. Her attire was unremarkable. It was simply quite understated compared to the others' elaborate appearances. The dress, though used, was tidy and clean. Her unadorned face, gentle and simple, evoked a line of verse for him, like a lotus blooming purely from the water, free from embellishment. Yet her apparent lack of preparation felt like a rebuke. You, I'm speaking to you. Do you not understand English? You are dismissed. Please leave now. Do not waste anyone else's time, Ethan stated, too frustrated to even inquire about her name. While he scolded, Ellie moved toward the harp Brooke had used. Her fingers lightly touched the strings, producing a few notes. Ethan's anger intensified. He paused, intending to continue. However, a sudden rush of sound halted him. The musical phrases flowed, complex and resonant. This is Shenandoah? He questioned, surprised. It was recognized as a difficult American folk composition for harp, a poignant tune deeply connected to the country's identity. Brooke had performed a less complicated classical selection. Ellie remained silent. She was positioned at the harp, her fingers moving with accuracy. The music grew, captivating Ethan. He disregarded his frustration, forgot to speak, and was absorbed by the melody's richness. Shenandoah stood as a cornerstone of American music, its notes reflecting themes of longing, resilience, and quiet strength. It resonated beyond beauty. It pulsed with defiance, a narrative of perseverance through hardship. Ellie's performance wasn't merely skilled, it embodied the song's essence. Ethan watched, stunned. Her clothes were ragged, her face bare, but as she played, no one could mistake her for anything less than extraordinary. She wasn't insignificant, she was a force, her story interwoven into every note. As the final chord concluded, Ethan remained silent. Following a considerable interval, he composed himself, his voice lowered. That, your Shenandoah, it surpassed all my expectations. Ellie responded, nodding subtly, her face exhibiting no change. His perception of her composure, whether confronted with his criticisms or his accolades, impressed him. It wasn't a display of arrogance, it was something more profound, a grace appearing to emanate from within her. This was nobility. It wasn't the kind derived from money or status, but the kind built within, resilient even in poverty. He observed her, his anticipation increasing. None of the others, not even Brooke, had resonated with him in the same way. Brooke's presentation, as flawless as it seemed, felt practiced and insincere. But Ellie? She possessed genuine substance. He cleared his throat and inquired further. Tell me, how do you understand nobility? The others had provided standard responses, education, refinement, poise, which were dependable but lacking inspiration. He leaned forward, wanting to hear Ellie's opinion. She hesitated, carefully selecting her words. Genuine nobility isn't defined by the display of wealth or the importance of a lineage. It's not about jewelry or a perfect appearance. It's not even the knowledge or etiquette one shows off to make an impression. True nobility is when you're wearing a simple dress, your hair disheveled, yet your inner light shines through, unmistakable. Ethan's eyes widened, his face practically glowing. Ellie continued, Noble's campaign is about fragrance, right? A fragrance can communicate more about an individual than any elaborate outfit. For a woman, perfume embodies her identity. It holds greater significance than clothing. It possesses enduring quality, unlike fleeting trends such as jewelry or hairstyles. A truly exceptional fragrance remains memorable. Ethan reacted immediately. Yes, absolutely. He nodded emphatically. Her statement perfectly captured the campaign's core message. Outside, the waiting actresses overheard Ethan's immediate reaction, then a moment of quiet, followed by the harp's uplifting melody. One actress remarked, "Did Claire prepare her with a harp trick?" After Brooke's performance, that's just embarrassing. Another, more perceptive, frowned. That piece sounds harder than Brooke's, but it won't matter. Brooke, who knew her harps, felt a flicker of unease at the technical skill echoing from the room, but she brushed it off. Claire, your little project doesn't get it. The harp's elegant, performers bathe, dress impeccably, respect the tradition. She's disrespecting the art itself. Ethan's gonna tear her apart. The others nodded. Claire remained silent, observing the door. Ellie hadn't been dismissed yet. That was step one, but her strategy was risky, and Claire wasn't certain how it would be received. When the music ceased, there was no yelling. The wait felt longer than Brooke's audition. What's happening in there? An actress murmured, pacing. He's likely reprimanding her so severely he's lost track of time. Ethan is a top-tier director. He's ruthless. This could damage Claire's whole agency. Ethan retrieved Ellie's file from his assistant, quickly reviewing it. His eyes widened. Ellie Harper. Wait, you're Cassandra Reed? Cassandra? Yes, that was my first film role, Ellie stated. Claire had sent clips from Legacy, so he wasn't surprised he recognized the name. However, his enthusiasm appeared considerable. Ellie continued, the moment I saw Cassandra, I was captivated. I need to see that film in theaters. When's it out? Ethan's regret was noticeable. He nearly didn't recognize her, as her usual appearance differed significantly from her on-screen image. Ellie offered a polite smile. Still in post-production, likely a month away. She added, thank you for the kind words. No, you deserve it, Ethan exclaimed. In Legacy, Cassandra was portrayed as a villain, but her powerful and seemingly unapproachable demeanor was precisely what he'd been seeking. Ellie's performance today only validated that. I'm so sorry, Ellie. I was mistaken, almost sent you away. She replied, you're right. Genuine heritage extends beyond appearance. He guided her to a presentation of distinguished perfumes. For 2 centuries, these perfumes have been created using time-honored methods and the world's most exceptional components. It's the scent of authentic aristocracy. I am pleased to lead this campaign, but I required someone who could represent that ideal. Fortunately, I found you. This partnership will be flawless. His assistant cleared his throat, murmuring, Sir, others remain. Should we proceed to the next candidate? Ethan dismissed him with a gesture. There is no need. Ellie is our ambassador. Please dismiss the rest. Outside, the door finally opened. The assistant emerged, addressing the crowd. Ladies, we have selected Ellie as our ambassador. The casting is complete. As a token of our gratitude, we are gifting everyone a 3-day luxury cruise. Enjoy. The room fell silent. Actresses who had not auditioned stared in disbelief. What? Is finished? We didn't even get an audition. It was disappointing, but most weren't shocked. The leading actresses breathed a sigh of relief. They avoided any embarrassment. A wave of congratulations washed over Brooke. Well done, Brooke. If it's you, I'm not mad. Brooke rose, enjoying the accolades, and moved towards the assistant. Thank you, Ethan, for the opportunity. I won't let him down. The assistant seemed puzzled. No, there's been a misunderstanding. It's not Ms. Kendall. A collective gasp rippled through the audience. Ethan selected Ellie Harper, number 15. Ellie Harper? The one dressed like a bum? Someone exclaimed. You're joking, right? Brooke's complexion visibly paled. There's a mistake. Everyone was talking about Ellie Harper, the relatively unknown contestant. She had already mentioned the news to Savannah. The thought of losing to Ellie? It was simply unacceptable. The assistant confirmed with a firm nod. There was no error. It was Ms. Harper, number 15. Brooke's voice trembled with anger. This felt unjust. They deserved an explanation. The assistant expressed resignation. It's Ethan's decision. I am unable to alter it. Then allow me to speak with him, Brooke insisted. Others whispered, questioning whether the assistant had made a mistake with the announcement. Even Claire appeared shocked. The assistant finally agreed. I'll pass this on. He returned promptly. Ethan said, Ms. Kendall, when you see the advertisement, you'll understand why we selected Ellie. He turned to Claire. Ms. Dawson, Ethan would like you to come in to discuss the contract. Claire, still absorbing the information, nodded. Thank you. She followed him inside, leaving Brooke visibly embarrassed and the others speechless. No way. Ellie Harper? We lost to her? I was going to say she's Claire's client. There's no way she's that uncomplicated. We underestimated them. Consider Ellie a surprise. Brooke must be feeling the pressure. First, Vanessa had control, and now Claire is working with a new talent. During the return trip, Claire observed Ellie, who was enjoying a hot dog. It was her first meal since preparing for the casting. The more Claire collaborated with her, the less certain she appeared. You okay? Ellie asked, with her mouth full, noticing Claire's gaze. Feeling fortunate to have a brilliant client like me? Claire laughed. I thought your approach was dangerous. Ethan is knowledgeable, he might have detected any deception. Regarding that harp, you played remarkably well. That requires years of practice. Ellie almost laughed until she choked. Years? Claire responded, you're being overly generous. I learned it in a month, and it's the only piece I know. I memorized it by rote. My intention was purely to impress. Claire blinked, visibly amused and disbelieving. Seriously? Ellie confirmed, raising a finger. I experiment with various instruments. Harp, piano, whatever. I learned just enough to manage, but I'm certainly no expert. Acknowledging that lengthy dedication can lead to focusing on fundamental principles and then proceeding, Claire shook her head, smiling. You're quite remarkable. As the city lights passed by, Ellie took another bite of her hot dog, seemingly unaffected by the day's events. She had entered a room filled with challenging individuals, allowed them to challenge her, and ultimately succeeded. This wasn't driven by a need to demonstrate her superiority, but because she possessed a strong sense of self, which was sufficient. Please enjoy this story, and consider sharing it with others, leaving a comment, and subscribing for more thrilling content. She experienced humiliation, and was even detained, directly within the VIP terminal of Rosebridge Airport. Dressed in an old hoodie and worn-out sneakers, she appeared strikingly ordinary amidst a waiting lounge filled with Italian suits and platinum-tier memberships. This type of passenger doesn't typically travel on a private jet, a security officer stated coldly. She was held, under scrutinizing glances, until the private jet of her billionaire husband arrived. Rosebridge Jet Terminal presented an image of immense wealth, with its polished marble floors reflecting the light of expensive chandeliers, and its tarmac accommodating Gulfstreams and Louis Vuitton suitcases. This exclusive airport, where sapphire membership cards held greater significance than passports, resonated with the presence of tailored Armani suits, Louboutin heels, and the aroma of Tom Ford oud. The VIP lounge, designed as a lavish space of glass and velvet, catered exclusively to a select clientele, with staff in silk vests verifying access via platinum keycards. Past the lounge area, a private runway extended, its entrances secured for the wealthiest individuals. Claire Sutton entered the terminal, wearing a casual gray hoodie, faded sweatpants, and worn sneakers that made a soft sound on the marble flooring. At 30 years old, having grown up in a small, unassuming town, she had independently studied aerospace engineering while working as a mechanic, her life straightforward until she encountered Noah Sutton, the individual responsible for establishing Sutton Aerospace as a worldwide leader. A book and a water bottle were inside the small backpack she carried, her only belongings following a connecting domestic flight. The lounge's stairs seemed to divide her, as if sensing an approaching storm. Claire felt like an imperfection in the terminal's gleaming appearance, her backpack a disruption to the exclusive environment. A security officer, Victor Hayes, moved toward her, his Navy uniform immaculate, his badge shining. "This lounge is exclusively for private jet passengers," he stated, his voice drawing attention. A lounge attendant, wearing a $2,000 Gucci blazer, chuckled, bending towards their colleague. They likely gained entry searching for employment. Amusement spread through the lounge, passengers concealing smiles with perfectly shaped hands. Claire remained still, her hazel eyes fixed, her backpack over one shoulder. She had come to meet Noah, the man whose empire she'd secretly assisted in creating. A wave of frustration rippled through the onlookers, their emotions tightening at the dismissive behavior of these officials, their contempt a sharp contrast to Claire's gentle demeanor. The jeering grew louder, a harsh sound led by the terminal's influential members. Vanessa Klein, the lounge manager, stepped forward, her platinum blonde hair flowing over a form-fitting Versace dress, her red lipstick a vivid accent to her cool expression. At 29 years old, having grown up in Miami's affluent circles, she was known for maintaining strict standards of admittance. Claire's hoodie earned a scoff. "We're unable to verify your identity or your reason for being in the high-security zone," the officer stated, her voice crisp and firm. The passengers responded with laughter that reverberated against the glass walls. Vanessa, with a flick of her hair, released a cloud of Chanel perfume, a fragrance Claire knew Noah found unpleasant. Claire's fingers gripped her backpack, her expression composed, while the audience's anger escalated, their hearts racing at this direct challenge, Vanessa's confidence appearing sharp and cold. The criticism intensified, becoming a deliberate and unified attack on Claire's presence. Victor Hayes approached, his badge reflecting light, and indicated a side door. "Your baggage has not cleared VIP screening," he stated, his voice steady but not unkind. "Please proceed to the holding area for those suspected of making false statements." The crowd applauded, their Rolexes catching the light as they gestured for her to leave. A passenger wearing a $6,000 Brioni suit exclaimed, "You don't seem like someone who owns a private jet ticket." Amusement rippled through the group, with passengers bumping shoulders. A receptionist whispered, "She doesn't appear to be a tourist." Another commented, "That hoodie looks like it could be stolen, and she has the nerve to enter here?" The remarks felt like a heavy blow, each word a painful strike against Claire's quietness. The audience's anger intensified, their hearts aching for Claire, deeply upset by this group's persistent harshness. The travelers' disdain became sharp as Claire stood in the VIP lounge, their taunts a deliberate attack intended to undermine her resolve. Several technology leaders in $8,000 Seville Row suits assembled close to the velvet sofas, their words a spiteful blend. "She's a mark on Rosebridge's reputation," one remarked, gesturing with a platinum fountain pen in Claire's direction, highlighting her worn sneakers. Returning to the budget terminal, one individual brandished a black Amex card, exclaiming, "Her backpack appears to be from a flea market." The audience's laughter was loud, employees glancing at each other, their Rolexes reflecting the light. A private equity mogul declared, "She's an insult to every jet parked here." The jeers felt like a severe judgment, each word a sharp blow against Claire's composed demeanor. Noah's jet was visible on the tarmac beyond the glass, but the lounge's disapproval felt intensely heavy. The audience's anger escalated, their hearts racing, indignant at this planned injustice, their fury intense and ready to challenge the elite's pride. The staff's involvement aggravated the situation, their actions a new disappointment. A receptionist, Clara Holt, wearing a tailored blazer, approached, her voice laced with disdain. "Miss, the general terminal is that way," she stated, gesturing towards a concealed door, her smirk reflected by surrounding passengers. "We don't allow such guests in the VIP lounge," she added, which drew laughter from the group. Clara, 26 years old and raised in New Jersey, took pride in her role as a gatekeeper. The group's approval felt like a powerful current, their arrogance a very public rejection. Claire held her backpack, her hazel eyes unwavering, but the lounge's disapproval felt intensely heavy. The audience's anger surged, their hearts racing at this form of institutional rejection, their fury burning against Rosebridge's sanctity. Vanessa Klein's criticism became pointed, a deliberate attempt to embarrass Claire in front of the lounge's most distinguished members. "You're not just out of place, you're a source of embarrassment," she stated, her Versace dress catching the light as she indicated Claire's sweatpants. Sutton Aerospace would not permit such behavior, she insisted, within their facilities. Her companions laughed, the sound punctuated by the clicking of their Mont Blanc pens, their gazes shifting to Claire's backpack. Vanessa remarked, "She's a charity case, not a jet passenger," her voice carrying enough volume to hush the surrounding quiet sounds. The passengers responded with approval, their disapproval feeling overwhelming, their hushed tones filled with discontent. "She's a fake," they muttered. Claire's hazel eyes glowed with contained anger, but her smile remained steady, a defense against the feeling of being let down. The pavement shimmered outside the windows, but the lounge's disapproval felt like a heavy burden. The audience's anger surged, their feelings of sorrow for Claire evident, fueled by the manager's deception revealed. The passengers' resentment reached a high point, their voices a harsh and bitter wave. A technology executive in a $5,000 Canali suit leaned forward, his voice sharp and dismissive. "She's insignificant, likely here seeking a passage," he remarked, pointing at Claire's sweatpants. "Observe that backpack. Did she retrieve it from a refuse container?" His associates chuckled, displaying their platinum cards. A socialite declared, "She's an embarrassment to whoever let her in." Laughter echoed, each insult a dagger aimed at Claire's heart. A woman standing close by with her daughter murmured, "She's likely someone's housekeeper." Her daughter chuckled, adding, "Or a stowaway." The audience's anger surged, their hearts with Claire, their fury a tidal wave against this malicious slander, desperate for the truth to shatter the elite's lies. The lounge staff's disapproval became obvious, their behavior a public embarrassment intended to entertain the other passengers. A senior concierge, Richard Tate, addressed Claire close to the glass reception desk, his silk vest immaculate, his tone condescending. "Miss, this lounge is exclusively for verified jet passengers," he stated, ensuring the surrounding people could hear. He indicated her hoodie with a gesture, his smirk echoed by the nearby employees. "Rosebridge rarely permits such straightforwardness," he stated, which elicited laughter from those present. The group's acceptance felt overwhelming, their confidence a stark display. Claire held her backpack, her hazel eyes steady, but the lounge's disapproval felt oppressive. The audience's anger intensified, their hearts racing at this perceived injustice, their fury burning against the terminal's integrity. Claire remained silent, her eyes dry, her arms holding her backpack, a plain bag containing the book she's read on her flight, a gift for Noah. She was led to the isolation room, a cold space of glass and steel, its walls mirroring the lounge luxury. The door closed behind her, with Victor Hayes standing watch, his badge representing her confinement. The passengers' murmurs followed her. "There lies a suffocating tide. She's a con artist." Claire's hazel eyes remained steady, her composure a quiet blaze. The audience's rage peaked, their hearts breaking for Claire, their fury a fire ready to consume the terminal's sanctity. The passengers' cruelty peaked as they spread vicious rumors, their voices a venomous storm echoing through the lounge. A hedge fund manager in a $9,000 Loro Piana suit leaned forward, his voice loud and cutting. He suggested she was a fraud, possibly having secured her place in the lounge through bribery, his friends agreeing, their cufflinks gleaming. Her marriage was also fabricated, simply a narrative to deceive Sutton. Another declared, raising his voice, "She's a con artist. Noah has been tricked." Derisive laughter erupted, each statement a painful blow to Claire. Employees shared falsehoods, their accusations multiplying rapidly. "She's after his wealth." Claire touched her backpack, maintaining a calm expression, though the group's malicious gossip felt overwhelming. The audience's anger surged, their feelings aligned with Claire, their outrage a powerful force seeking to expose the falsehoods of those in power. The sound of a jet engine broke the lounge's quiet atmosphere as a black Gulfstream G800 landed on the private runway, one of fewer than 20 such runways globally. The aircraft's polished exterior shone, its engines creating a loud noise that stopped the surrounding conversation. A VIP golf cart quickly moved towards the isolation zone, its tires squealing on the tarmac. Noah Sutton disembarked, his white shirt rolled up, his dark sunglasses glinting, projecting an aura of intensity. At 35, having grown up in Seattle, he had transformed Sutton Aerospace into a global empire, incorporating Rosebridge Jet Terminal through a corporate restructuring. He took off his sunglasses, revealing gray eyes as sharp as steel, and proceeded into the isolation room. "Why is my wife being held here?" His voice held no volume, yet it resonated with force. A wave of emotion rippled through the onlookers, their frustration giving way to expectation. Noah's revelation a beacon in the tension. Victor Hayes faltered, his official identification providing no protection. "I wasn't aware she—" Noah interrupted, his expression unwavering. "She has nothing to demonstrate. I am her confirmation of travel." The atmosphere became still, Vanessa Klein's Versace dress appearing deflated, her crimson lipstick a sharp contrast against her complexion. Noah opened the exit, approached Claire, and clasped her hand. "Are you weary?" he inquired, his voice gentle yet resolute. "The aircraft was prepared. Let's proceed." Claire smiled, her hazel eyes radiating warmth, her hoodie a subtle adornment. The travelers' cufflinks appeared less brilliant, their expressions strained with surprise. The crowd's sense of accomplishment grew, their hearts pounding as Noah's words altered the lounge's influence. Noah addressed the airport manager, his voice composed but firm. "I intended to maintain my stake in Rosebridge for an additional 2 years," he stated, "but today I have revised that decision." He hesitated, his gray eyes surveying the lounge. Detaining anyone for not wearing a suit in a gathering of those who believe themselves divine seemed inappropriate. Vanessa Klein recoiled, her Chanel perfume a sharp contrast to the situation. Noah's expression turned intense. "I'm not merely the largest investor in this airport, I possess 70% ownership of Rosebridge Jet Terminal." A chill permeated the lounge. The receptionist almost dropped her iPad, and the head of security paled. The audience erupted, their anger shifting to astonishment as Noah's actions began to dismantle the deception that had restricted Claire. The repercussions were swift, a judgment conveyed without a sound. Noah addressed Victor Hayes, his voice sharp and decisive. "You held the one I travel with," he stated. "Your time here is over, 5 minutes remaining." Victor's uniform seemed to shrink, his professional life collapsing. Noah then confronted Vanessa Klein, his gaze unwavering. "Your department's screening procedures? Discontinued. Access is permanently denied to all Sutton Group locations." Vanessa's Versace dress offered no protection. Her standing served as a warning. Noah addressed Clara Holt, the receptionist. "Your keycards have been disabled. Please clear your workspace." Clara appeared stunned, her role as gatekeeper now exposed. The onlooker's sense of disappointment shifted to jubilation, Claire's success affirmed by her husband's considerable influence. The isolation room felt dominated by Noah Sutton, his voice sharp and decisive, silencing the space enclosed by glass walls. "You dared to detain Claire Sutton, the only soul worthy of this terminal," he declared, his gray eyes radiating a controlled fury. "The validity of your badges, your protocols were irrelevant in the face of her truth." He presented a sleek tablet displaying a series of canceled agreements. Victor Hayes' security contracts, Vanessa Klein's management deals, and the staff's lounge privileges, all rescinded by Sutton Aerospace's board. "Your names are removed from global aviation," he announced, his eyes focused on Victor. "You have lost more than jobs, you have lost your futures." The audience reacted with shocked gasps, their empires collapsing under his direction. Claire stood beside him, her gray hoodie glowing, her triumph confirmed by Noah's consistent strength. The audience cheered, their spirits lifted as his worldwide justice defeated the elite's pride. Noah's gaze turned to the woman who had spoken, her daughter standing close behind. "I heard you refer to her as a maid," he said, his voice slightly firm. "I'll demonstrate the power even a so-called maid can possess, sufficient to result in your permanent membership cancellation." He retrieved his phone, activated it with a single button, and issued the command. The memberships of all individuals in Lounge 1A from the previous 2 hours were to be terminated. No justification was required. The socialite's platinum card became invalid, her standing negated. The tech mogul, who had previously ridiculed Claire's backpack, was led away, his agreements rescinded. Those passengers who had laughed concealed their Rolexes, their power diminished. The observers felt their hearts pound, their anger evolving into pride, Claire's victory shining brightly and humbling the lounge's prominent members. The downfall of the elite was a spectacle, their arrogance shattered under Noah's command. Vanessa Klein stumbled back, her Versace dress a mockery, her reputation a cautionary tale among the staff. Victor Hayes' badge was confiscated, his decades of service null, his escorts pushing him toward the service exit. Clara Holt's gatekeeping empire plummeted, her scorn a public wound, her belongings scattered. The hedge fund manager's deals collapsed, his slander exposed his lies. Those who'd flicked pens concealed their cufflinks, their memberships revoked. The staff who'd sneered were dismissed, their careers terminated. The socialite who'd whispered faced ostracism, her reputation diminished. Claire stood tall, her sneakers a subtle symbol of triumph, her hazel eyes unwavering. The audience's hearts resonated with emotion, their anger shifting to admiration. Claire's victory and Noah's anger shook the world's wealthiest in the terminal's esteemed halls. The terminal's hierarchy collapsed under Noah's direction. A thorough review revealed its deep-seated flaws. He addressed the airport's operations chief, his tone sharp and direct amidst the lounge's lavish surroundings. "Your screening system is unacceptable," he stated, his gray eyes unwavering. "Every procedure that caused distress to my wife is nullified, effective immediately." He activated his phone, and a wave of alerts flooded the staff's devices. Contracts terminated, permissions removed, entire departments dissolved. The socialite's daughter wept, her mother's membership a relic of a fallen empire. The tech mogul's jet remained on the tarmac, his influence non-existent. The receptionist who had laughed was escorted out, her iPad now inactive. Claire stood beside Noah, her backpack a silent declaration of her truth, her victory a bright spot in the terminal's fading light. The audience's hearts lifted, their anger shifting to triumph. Noah's fury a powerful force that washed away Rosebridge's arrogance. The details of Claire's history remained unknown, whether to the staff, Vanessa, or the passengers. When she was 20, she had rebuilt aircraft engines while studying late into the night, using her earnings to pay for textbooks. At 25, she encountered Noah at an aerospace expo, her understated intelligence captivating him amidst a crowd of showy personalities. Their marriage, a private ceremony on a Maine cliff, was founded on love, not financial resources. Vanessa's perfume, the staff's keycards, the passengers' suits, held no comparison to the resilience embodied by the backpack Claire carried. She now stood within the terminal, her rubber band a reminder of her integrity, her silence a consuming fire that exposed their deceit. Claire entered the Gulf Stream, still wearing her hoodie, holding Noah's hand. Her reflection appeared on the terminal's glass wall, portraying a composed woman passing 2 rows of people with lowered heads. The aircraft moved ahead, its engines creating a visible display of strength, leaving the lounge hushed. The chandeliers decreased in brightness, the marble floors no longer echoing with dominance. Noah turned to Claire, his gray eyes filled with concern. "Are you all right?" She responded with a nod, her hazel eyes following the curve of his smile. As the jet ascended, the autumn light diminished, revealing a line of the world's wealthiest individuals seeking her approval, their gestures a quiet acknowledgement of their previous treatment of her. She had experienced deep shame even being held. Within the exclusive VIP terminal of Rosebridge Airport, she appeared unassuming in an old hoodie and worn sneakers. Her appearance stood in stark contrast to the surroundings, a waiting lounge filled with Italian suits and platinum-tier memberships. The revelation arrived with undeniable force, and it couldn't be ignored. Everyone involved understood a crucial lesson. True authority isn't defined by appearance. It's established by presence, and the impact will be immediate. If you enjoyed this narrative, please like, share, and subscribe for similar stories. We'd love to hear from you. If you were Claire, what actions would you take? She experienced ridicule, physical contact, and was expelled from the Orem Wellness Spa. solely due to her attire, a simple white dress and flats, as opposed to more elaborate jewelry and heels. Her reservation was visibly ripped before her. Derisive laughter trailed her as she exited into the snow. The following morning, her husband's private jet touched down on the mountain. This was no ordinary jet. It was the custom G800, distinguished by E-stone etched in silver. As he disembarked, those who had previously demeaned her were visibly stunned. They were completely mistaken. Snow spiraled through the sharp peaks of the Swiss Alps, coating the glass walls of the Aurum Wellness Spa with glittering crystalline particles resembling diamonds. Within, the atmosphere was heavy with the aroma of eucalyptus and the sound of privileged comfort. Patrons, adorned in cashmere robes, enjoyed matcha lattes as attendants applied 24-karat gold facial masks. Ella Stone entered through the substantial doors, her white cotton dress gently swaying around her legs, her flats making no sound on the marble flooring. Her dark hair was styled in a relaxed half-updo, her face unadorned by makeup, glowing but tired from weeks immersed in floodwaters, reconstructing a village in East Africa. She carried nothing but a quiet elegance that appeared incongruous with the luxury surrounding her. The receptionist observed her closely, her lips forming a dismissive expression. "This is a luxury spa, not a donation drop-off." Laughter spread through the lounge and Ella's heart felt a pang. She hadn't come seeking their approval. She'd come for relaxation, but what followed would shake this mountaintop. The Aurum Wellness Spa was a haven of privilege situated at 8,000 feet, reachable only by private helicopter or a winding road designated for the world's elite. The gathering included a distinguished assembly of royalty, CEOs, and celebrities, with attendance secured through a Royal Gold Tier membership or a highly sought-after invitation. Ella, aged 32, appeared out of place. Her dress, understated and without visible branding, showed slight wrinkles from her luggage. Her shoes, functional and showing wear, made a subtle squeaking sound on the gleaming floor. However, her beauty, genuine and without artifice, attracted glances, though not the type she desired. She moved toward the reception desk, her hazel eyes focused, her voice gentle yet distinct. "Good afternoon," Ella said, offering a small smile. "I have a reservation under Ella Stone." The receptionist, Claire, a woman with sleek blonde hair and a diamond-studded name tag, barely looked up from her screen. Her fingers paused as she typed, and she tilted her head, assessing Ella with undisguised disdain. "A reservation?" Claire repeated, her tone sharp. "This is an exclusive spa. Reservations are for members only. Maybe you had a reservation at the lodge further down the valley?" Ella's smile remained steady, although her fingers pressed a little more firmly around the phone. "No, I'm positive it's here. I made the booking online last week. Would you mind checking again, please?" Claire let out a sigh, her carefully done nails striking the keyboard with deliberate slowness. Guests in the nearby lounge, women in designer loungewear, men with Rolexes glinting, glanced over, their whispers growing louder. A woman with a platinum bob, her face shimmering with gold flakes, leaned toward her companion. She whispered, loud enough for Ella to hear, "Looks like she walked here from a tent." Her friend, a man in a tailored blazer, chuckled, probably chasing Instagram clout. Pathetic. As Ella stood at the reception desk, a woman in a velvet robe rose from the lounge, her diamond earrings catching the light. "Excuse me," she said, her voice laced with mockery. "Is this a new charity event? Are we sponsoring refugees now?" Laughter erupted in the room, guests applauding as if she's made a joke. She moved closer, her gaze sweeping over Ella's dress with disapproval. "Honestly, darling, you're embarrassing yourself. Go back to wherever you came from." Ella's fingers gripped her phone, her face composed but her heart racing beneath their amusement. Ella felt her cheeks flush, but she maintained her gaze on Claire, ignoring the people around them. She had endured more challenging circumstances, including floods, famine, and heartbreak. This felt insignificant in comparison. However, the impact of their disapproval remained, a subtle discomfort settling beneath her composed demeanor. Claire's eyes shifted between the screen and Ella, her expression becoming stern. "There's no Ella Stone in our system," she stated plainly. Are you certain you didn't reserve a spot under a different name, or possibly someone else's? Claire bent across the counter, raising her voice to be heard by everyone present. Let's be clear, she stated, gesturing towards Ella's dress. This spa has a reputation to uphold. You look like you haven't seen a mirror in years. Did you think you could simply enter here? She glanced towards the lounge, encouraging their amusement with a dramatic shrug. Seriously, how did she even get past the gate? The crowd responded with boisterous laughter, some capturing images with their phones, the flashes resembling vultures circling prey. Ella remained still, her poise unwavering, but the pain of being the center of attention was intense. The suggestion lingered, a weighty accusation. Ella appeared to be an imposter, an unwelcome presence in their luxurious environment. Just as she was about to speak, a man in a tailored suit approached from the lounge. This was Victor Lang, the spa's guest relations manager, known for identifying concerns before they disturbed the atmosphere. His lips tightened into a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Is there a problem, Claire? Victor inquired, his voice calm yet firm. Claire indicated Ella, her tone full of derision. This visitor states she possesses a reservation, but we have no corresponding entry. I had been detailing our membership guidelines. Victor's eyes moved over Ella, pausing on her dress, her footwear, and her unadorned hands. I understand, he stated, joining his hands behind his back. Victor approached, his polished shoes clicking distinctly. Let's resolve this, he said, moving around Ella as if a hunter assessing a prize. He hesitated, examining her with deliberate attention, then scoffed. No makeup, no jewelry, no elegance. Did you believe we wouldn't see? He indicated her flats, his voice carrying across the lounge. Those shoes belong in a second-hand shop, not Orem. You're not just out of place, you're a slight to our guests. Laughter rose, guests concurring, their disapproval a pressing tide. Ella faced his look, unwavering, yet the atmosphere around her felt denser, tinged with their disdain. Madam, the Orem Spa is reserved for Royal Gold Tier members, or those with private invitations. Without proper credentials, I'm afraid you don't meet our standards. I have a confirmation email, Ella said evenly, pulling out her phone. She opened the message, displaying a booking code and payment receipt. It's right here. Victor didn't bother looking at the screen. He waved a hand dismissively, as if swatting away an insect. Emails can be fabricated or borrowed, he said. The system was confirmed as complete. My name was absent. A wave of quiet laughter spread through the lounge, the guests ceasing their attempts to overlook what was happening. A woman wearing a robe with fur trim remarked, perhaps she located the code on a promotional website. Her companions chuckled, their gold masks wrinkling. Ella's expression hardened, but she refrained from responding. She put away her phone, her actions measured and controlled, preserving her composure against their unkindness. I understand, she said softly. I will depart. Oh, not quite, Claire stated, her voice suddenly firm. She indicated a security guard positioned close to the entrance, a large man named Rolf, who had a buzz cut and a stern expression. We do not permit unauthorized entry, she stated. Rolf will make sure you are directed to the exit. Rolf advanced, his boots making a heavy sound on the marble floor. This way, he said gruffly, pointing towards the glass doors. Outside, snow fell in dense curtains, and the wind roared against the mountainside. Ella paused, glancing at the confirmation email one last time. She had the option to contest this, request a re-examination, or challenge their assertion. However, the pressure of their gazes, the confident expressions on their faces, indicated it would be futile. This was not the place, and this was not the moment. She stood tall, raising her chin a little. Thank you for your time, she stated, her voice even despite the shame she felt within. She pivoted and proceeded towards the exit, Rolf following closely. While passing the lounge, a man wearing a silk scarf murmured, I bet she borrowed someone's booking code or found it online. His companion chuckled, lifting a glass of sparkling water in a playful salute. As Ella turned towards the doors, a group of guests located near the lounge rose, their voices forming a taunting chant. Out, 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 they called, clapping in time, their gold masks shimmering like harsh reflections. One threw a crumpled napkin at her, snickering, "Take that for your next booking." Someone yelled, "Don't return unless you learn to dress." The chanting intensified, a surge of mockery tracking her movements. Ella kept her shoulders straight, her steps even, but each word struck her like a weight, filled with their shared disapproval. The entrances appeared nearer, offering a way out, but not comfort. The glass entrances slid open, and a rush of cold air touched Ella's face. Rolf remained inside, arms crossed, making sure she wouldn't turn around. The doors closed behind her, shutting her out into the snow. Her dress provided scant warmth. Her flats sank into the powder. She paused there for a moment, the spa's golden light seeming to mock her through the glass, the sounds of laughter reaching her. Ella didn't weep. She didn't utter a curse. She simply retrieved her phone, her fingers remaining steady despite the cold, and composed a message. "They removed my name from the list and my dignity. Is it possible for me to borrow the jet?" She pressed send, placed the phone in her pocket, and proceeded down the snow-covered path, her form disappearing into the storm. Unaware of the impending consequences, the spa continued its operations. The closest village, a collection of chalets located 10 miles down the mountain, was still when Ella reached it. She had secured transportation with a compassionate delivery driver who felt sympathy for her cold appearance. Currently, she sat near a window in a modest inn, enjoying tea, the floorboards creaking and a fire crackling in the hearth. Her dress was damp, her hair matted, but her expression remained calm and resolute. She felt no anger for her own experience. Instead, she felt anger for everyone who had ever been dismissed, judged, or discarded for not fitting an established standard. The spa's actions were not a personal attack, it was a systemic problem, and that was what she intended to address. Her phone vibrated, a response from Ethan. "Jet's on its way. Be there tomorrow. Love you." She smiled subtly, placing the phone down. There was nothing more to explain. Ethan would comprehend. He always did. Ethan Stone was a name recognized with significance across continents. At 40, he led Stone Medical Technologies as CEO, a worldwide enterprise that transformed healthcare through AI-driven diagnostics and reasonably priced prosthetics. Forbes listed him as one of the world's top 5 billionaires, but his financial status represented only a portion of his power. His influence, subtle yet steadfast, impacted policies, provided funding for hospitals, and addressed concerns from critics. He shunned public attention, preferring his actions to convey his message. However, his actions always drew notice, and currently he was acting for Ella. They had first encountered each other 12 years prior, when Ella served as a volunteer nurse in a war-torn region, and Ethan was transporting medical supplies. Her bravery, her unwillingness to yield to disorder, captivated him. She had never been interested in his wealth, only his character. Working in tandem, they had created a life of significance, with her directing relief operations and him developing solutions to preserve lives. Their wealth served as a means, not a display of prestige, and Ella's unassuming nature was her asset, a deliberate choice to remain humble despite their billions. Returning to the spa, the morning arrived bright and clear, the snow shimmering under a faint sun, guests relaxed in warm pools, their laughter drifting through the mountain air. Claire performed her duties, her smile polished as she welcomed a prince from Dubai. Victor moved among the affluent, guaranteeing every desire was fulfilled. Rolf remained near the doors, his posture a quiet deterrent to those not belonging. At 10:03 a.m., a faint tremor disturbed the calm, causing heads to turn and eyes to narrow towards the distant view. A modern Gulfstream G800, its dark, non-reflective exterior shining, began its descent towards the private airstrip located 3 miles away. The inscription E. Stone was displayed in silver on its tail, readily identifiable to those familiar with influence. Rumors quickly rippled through the spa. Could that be Stone's aircraft? A guest questioned, holding her robe. "Ethan Stone, here?" Claire's smile wavered, her fingers pausing above the keyboard. Victor stopped speaking, his gaze moving to the windows. Rolf stirred restlessly, feeling a change in the atmosphere. A group of black SUVs approached along the mountain road, their tires disturbing the snow. Staff members in formal suits exited the vehicles, establishing a barrier around the spa's entrance. Visitors moved closer to the windows, their matcha left untouched, their gold masks falling. The doors slid open and Ethan Stone entered. His gray wool coat was understated yet custom-made, his dark hair showing hints of silver, his blue eyes as sharp as the alpine wind. Standing 6'2", he possessed a quiet authority that hushed the room. Trailing him, a single aide carried a leather binder, its heft indicating more than just documents. All eyes tracked his progress as he traversed the marble floor, his steps measured, his expression unrevealing. Claire straightened, summoning a smile despite the tremor in her hands. Victor quickly approached, his characteristic charm absent, replaced by a nervous politeness. "Mr. Stone," Victor said, offering his hand. "What an honor. Welcome to Orem Wellness Spa. How may we?" Ethan didn't respond to the greeting. He halted at the reception desk, his eyes fixed on Claire. The room fell silent. "My wife was here yesterday," he stated, his voice quiet, measured, slicing through the stillness. "Ella Stone possessed a confirmed reservation, yet you denied her entry." Claire's face visibly paled. I don't remember," I stated. "You don't recall," Ethan repeated, his voice even but firm. He retrieved a single card from his coat, black with gold embossing. It read, "Ella Stone, Founding Equity Partner, Supreme Elite Membership." He presented it on the counter, the sound distinct in the quiet atmosphere. Victor's eyes widened, his mouth moving silently. "Mr. Stone, it seems there may be a misunderstanding." Ethan raised a hand, stopping him. He placed the leather binder next to the card, the cover displaying the Orem logo. "There is no misunderstanding," he stated. "My wife was a founding investor in 12 of your global properties. She held 20% ownership of this spa, or did until yesterday." He opened the binder, showing a contract filled with legal language. "This morning, she is redirecting all of her investment funds to your competitor, Vitali's Resorts, with immediate effect." A collective intake of breath went through the lounge. Guests held their phones, many already typing quickly. Claire's hands went to her mouth, her gaze searching for Victor. He offered no assistance. His face paled and he seemed to be recalling his career. "Mr. Stone," Victor stammered, "please allow us to rectify this. We were unaware." Ethan stated, his voice now colder, "because you evaluated her based on her dress, not her inherent value. You summoned security to guide her out into a snowstorm. You canceled her booking to preserve your desired appearance." He moved closer, his gaze fixed on Claire. "If you are unable to respect a woman wearing a simple dress, you do not deserve to cater to any woman at all." The statement resonated powerfully. Patrons stirred with discomfort, some averting their gaze, others murmuring in disbelief. A sense of diminishing hope lingered near the entrance, his frown giving way to apprehension. Ethan turned to his assistant, who provided him with a tablet. "The surveillance footage from yesterday," Ethan stated, addressing the room, "is already with my legal team. By tonight, it will be public. The world will see precisely how you treat your guests." Claire's legs gave way and she held onto the counter for support. Victor moved forward, desperation evident in his voice. "Mr. Stone, we will do anything. Reactivate her reservation and extend a lifetime membership offer." Ethan replied, closing the binder decisively, "It's over." He then addressed the security team, a single nod indicating, "Remove the implicated staff." Immediately, the suited guards acted quickly, moving towards Claire, Victor, and Rolf. Claire's objections escalated into cries as she was guided towards the rear exit. Several days following Ethan's visit, Claire was brought before the spa's remaining employees, called for a meeting with Orem's regional director. The crispness of her uniform couldn't hide the paleness of her face, nor repair her shattered confidence. The director's tone was frigid, stating, "Your actions concerning Ella Stone have damaged our brand." The termination was immediate, and she was warned, "Finding future employment will be difficult, as every spa in Europe is aware of your name." Claire received her final paycheck, her eyes filling with tears, the room filled with silence save for the sound of her resignation letter. She left to whispers, Her career now in ruins, the remnants of her self-assurance gone, replaced by a harsh lesson in humility. This was her career. She wept, but no one stepped in. Victor trailed behind, his head lowered, murmuring apologies to the empty air. Rolf did not struggle, simply exited, his boots scraping the floor. Ethan spoke to the remaining staff, his voice steady and firm. This spa's territorial license is revoked. Orum's parent company has been notified. You will close by the end of the month. A moment of shocked quiet followed. Guests looked at each other, some quietly leaving to avoid the consequences, others recording the scene surreptitiously. The spa's golden glow appeared to lessen, its exclusivity weakening because of Ethan's words. He turned to depart, pausing briefly to retrieve Ella's membership card. She didn't require this to demonstrate her value, he stated, placing it in his pocket. You needed it to demonstrate yours, and you did not succeed. As the doors closed behind him, the spa was plunged into turmoil. Managers rushed to contact corporate, guests requested refunds, and employees murmured about their prospects. The news disseminated rapidly, much like snowfall. By noon, Orum's scandal was trending globally, the released video inciting widespread anger on social media platforms. Critics denounced the spa's exclusivity, and Vitali's Resorts declared a new collaboration with Ella Stone, guaranteeing accessible wellness for everyone. 1 week elapsed, and Ella passed the spa's closed entrance, the glass doors now secured, the marble floor appearing somber. Snow accumulated against the walls, concealing the previously prominent Orum logo. The white dress remained, though now paired with boots instead of flats, and her hair was still partially arranged upwards. Her appearance hadn't changed, yet she projected a greater intensity, as if the mountain itself were yielding to her. Ethan stood close, his coat lightly covered in snow, his arm gently touching hers. They stopped, observing the deserted building. On the nearby street corner, Claire was visible in her former Orum uniform, distributing promotional flyers for a discount massage establishment. Their eyes connected briefly with Ella's, then lowered, a blush rising on her cheeks. Ella remained silent, words were unnecessary. Her quietness resonated more powerfully than any reprimand, her composure demonstrating her resilience. Ethan offered a wry smile, drawing nearer. Next time, I'm bringing the entire massage team to our villa, all right? Ella responded with laughter, a cheerful sound against the stillness of the mountains, and they continued their walk, departing the spa and its teachings behind. If this story resonated with you, please like it, share it with others, leave a comment, and subscribe for more content.